all. We're on the side of a building? It's weird.
It's incredible. Like, it's gotta feel so exciting.
It does. It feels incredibly exciting. It also feels...
A social media tempest has been sparked by Rachel Zegler's sudden change in tone about Disney's live-action Snow White adaptation. Zegler recently made waves for her audacious and divisive remarks toward updating the cherished Disney classic, labeling the 1937 original as outdated, and even calling some scenes creepy. In an apparent effort to patch things up with Disney fans, she has completely changed her mind and now calls the first Snow White a monumental moment in cinematic history. Fans are perplexed by this abrupt change, however, and many are even more irritated. Her earlier comments had already raised concerns about the movie's release, and while Disney probably thought this new strategy would lessen the criticism, it has instead increased controversy. Many have referred to her recent remarks as being part of an apology tour, raising doubts about whether her renewed admiration for the original Snow White is sincere or just a desperate attempt to save the movie's image. Zegler's first remarks, criticizing the traditional Snow White as a tale about a guy who literally stalks her, were meant to support a more contemporary feminist interpretation of the fairy tale. Many fans, however, felt that her remarks were insulting and contemptuous of a movie they had grown up admiring. As the first full-length animated film ever made, Disney's 1937 original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has a unique position in movie history. Audiences who value Snow White highly were offended by Zegler's portrayal of the prince as a stalker, and her suggestion that the whole movie is out of date. As many fans and critics believed Zegler's comments minimized the groundbreaking work done by Walt Disney and his crew in the 1930s, the criticism grew. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was a landmark picture that changed the cinema business, not simply another animated feature. Its innovative plot, hand-drawn animation, and use of Technicolor won over hearts all over the globe and raised the bar for the Disney brand. For many, Zegler's remarks seem to ignore the original's artistic merits and historical significance, which they believe are crucial to the development of animation and family movies. While modernization is vital, some fans contend that it should be handled sensitively and with respect for the original work, particularly when it comes to such a beloved classic. The continuing affection that viewers have for the original plot and characters, which many believe to be universal themes of love, compassion, and resiliency, was also seen as being dismissed by Zegler's remarks. From The Jungle Book to The Lion King, Disney's live-action remakes have often updated classic tales while making an effort to remain faithful to their origins. Fans, however, worry that Snow White may lose the soul of the original under the pretense of modernizing. These worries haven't been allayed by Zegler's abrupt change of tone, in which she suddenly respect is dishonest, and others have theorized that Disney may have pressured her to alter her position in an attempt to lessen the criticism. Critics have noted that Zegler's apology tour may have been promoted by Disney, a company that has considerable control over its actors, in an effort to boost the movie's box office chances. Public opinion has only become more divided as a result of the frequent exaggeration of such disputes on social media. Some, however, are sympathetic to Zegler's efforts to introduce a feminist viewpoint to Snow White. As a cliché that many contemporary audiences find out of date, the original narrative does, in fact, center on a passive princess who has to be rescued by a prince. Given the ideals of a modern audience, Zegler's first remarks probably reflected her wish to present Snow White as a more self-reliant and strong figure. However, she did not do well, as it seemed to minimize the importance of the 1937 movie. Instead of inspiring admirers, Zegler's effort to draw attention to these aspects as creepy and irrelevant rather alienated them. A lot of viewers think Disney should aim for harmony, keeping the original's charm and tradition, but bringing in uplifting themes that are contemporary. Since Moana and Elsa, two of Disney's most recent princess heroines, exhibit power and independence without detracting from the core of their storylines, it is clear that the characters have changed throughout time. However, critics contend that Disney and Zegler run the danger of offending the film's devoted audience by attempting to update Snow White with a strong feminist bent. Fans have also noted that this debate is a reflection of a broader trend in Hollywood, where reboots and remakes often aim to fix out-of-date aspects of the original, but sometimes go too far in changing it. A split between nostalgic fans and the studios attempting to accommodate contemporary preferences may result from this. A fine line between honoring the original and updating it for modern audiences is shown by the Snow White dispute. Some fans hope that studios will develop new tales with varied, strong characters rather than drastically changing characters and storylines that audiences have enjoyed for decades. This way, viewers may enjoy new stories without having to give up their favorite classics. Zegler's remarks have sparked a heated debate over the function of actors in movie promotion and how their views affect public opinion. The controversy surrounding Snow White has brought attention to the difficulties performers have when addressing cherished cultural icons, since Zegler's remarks have gone viral and sparked a barrage of replies. While Zegler's abrupt shift in tone may have been an effort to win over disgruntled supporters, many have just become more skeptical. In the end, how well the Snow White remake is received will probably rely on Disney's ability to reconcile paying tribute to the original with incorporating current, powerful ideas. Zegler's changing position has made fans question if the film would be able to match the enchantment of the original, and has harmed the film's chances. The criticism indicates that Disney and its actors should carefully examine the feelings of fans who hold these tales near to their hearts while reworking a classic, even if her remarks were probably an effort to connect with contemporary viewers. Fans are perplexed by Rachel Zegler's sudden change of attitude about Disney's live-action Snow White adaptation. The young actor first gained notoriety for her direct critiques of the 1937 classic, which is beloved by many for its ageless values of compassion, love, and innocence. Zegler freely expressed her distaste for the original Snow White in interviews conducted only a few months ago. She acknowledged that she had only seen the film once as a youngster, and that it was so disturbing that she never went back to see it again. She made it plain at the time that she did not see the need to respect the original's heritage, since she could not connect to either the character or the movie. She now seems to have changed her mind, referring to the 1937 movie as a beloved masterpiece that served as the model for everything that Disney is today. Fans are baffled by this about-face, with many questioning if it's too little, too late. Zegler's apology tour couldn't have come at a worse time. Disney's casting choices and the film's thematic approach have been the subject of intense discussion in the Snow White remake for months. Disney's choice to substitute CGI mystical creatures for the traditional seven dwarfs is among the most controversial modifications. This makeover horrified many, who saw it as a needless and politically driven break from the original's allure. Many perceive this change as part of a larger pattern in Disney's live-action adaptations, where accurate recreations of the classics are often overshadowed by social and political themes. There was a deluge of unfavorable comments when the first teaser trailer was released. Millions of scathing comments and dislikes were posted on social media by fans who criticized the revisions as part of Disney's increasingly formulaic approach to retelling classic tales. Zegler's prior remarks, which seemed to downplay the original's attractiveness and historical significance, were a major contributing factor in the debate. Fans of the 1937 movie felt that she was being harsh when she called Snow White a narrative about a guy who literally stalks her, and called the storyline creepy. Her comments were seen by many as an effort to portray Snow White as a representation of archaic gender standards. Although this viewpoint was meant to resonate with a contemporary feminist audience, it fell flat with fans who saw the original narrative as a pure tale of friendship, bravery, and generosity. Zegler's seeming contempt for the classic further heightened worries that the remake would deviate too much from the original, which were further heightened by the reaction to the teaser. The idea that Zegler's current acclaim for the original Snow White is a contrived, dishonest flip meant to save the movie's legacy has especially enraged fans. By now referring to it as a masterpiece, and celebrating it as a historic accomplishment for Disney, she has sparked skepticism among fans, many of whom doubt the veracity of her statements. Critics contend that Zegler's abrupt change was just a PR ploy designed to diffuse the uproar and boost the movie's box office performance. Critics believe that Zegler may have been persuaded by Disney, a large business with a stake in the success of its films, to soften her tone and openly embrace the history of the original Snow White. Reports of many people believe that Disney's most recent remakes have deviated from the elements that made the original movies so cherished. Fans believe that Disney is prioritizing social message and political correctness above maintaining the spirit of its classics, even if modernity is often embraced. This is evident in the adjustments made to Snow White. Many people see the Seven Dwarfs replacement, which has become a point of contention, as a mistake that loses a special and cherished element of the original tale. After all, the Seven Dwarfs represent devotion and camaraderie rather than being only supporting characters. Disney runs the risk of offending viewers who loved the original characters by substituting them with generic mythical beings. Supporters contend that Disney might have adopted a different strategy by either reinventing iconic characters in a manner that honors the original plot, or by developing fresh, unique storylines that represent contemporary ideals. From Beauty and the Beast's Belle to Mulan, Disney's animated characters have developed into strong, self-reliant people while staying faithful to their original plots. Fans are concerned that the studio may have lost a chance to combine history with advancement. However, given the live-action Snow White remake's drastic revision of key components and Zegler's divisive remarks, Disney and Zegler have tapped into a fan base that feels that the remake is trying to reinvent a treasured classic rather than pay tribute to it by addressing out-of-date aspects of Snow White. Though timely, Zegler's apology tour may not be enough to unite fans who are growing disillusioned with Disney's strategy. Many think it is feasible to modernize the work in a respectful way, giving characters more authority without sacrificing the principles that made the original so classic. The issue is whether the Snow White remake will eventually follow Disney's own history, which demonstrates that the company can change while honoring the past. Disney's ability to persuade viewers that it can include contemporary issues without radically changing the core of the narrative might determine how well the Snow White remake does. Although Zegler's current acclaim for the original is a start in the right direction, several fans believe that her earlier remarks revealed a deeper disrespect for the film's heritage. The dispute highlights the difficulties performers have when tackling cherished cultural touchstones, regardless of whether her newfound appreciation for Snow White is sincere or just a calculated maneuver. It will be difficult for Zegler to completely regain the confidence of Disney fans because of the lasting impact of the criticism she received for her comments. Ultimately, Zegler's changing position and the studio's major Snow White alterations serve as a reminder that reverence for the original work is crucial when recreating well-loved tales. The stakes are huge for Disney. In addition to pushing the limits of modernism, this adaptation will demonstrate the extent to which the studio is prepared to reimagine its own history. Fans will surely be keeping a careful eye on the film in the hopes that, in spite of the controversy, the new Snow White will maintain the enchantment that made the original such a timeless masterpiece. Arguments between the two actresses added fuel to the fire, with some fans Snow White is one of Disney's most costly projects in recent years, with a reported budget of over $200 million. Despite some reimbursement from the UK government for filming subsidies, the total cost is still monumental. And when you include marketing costs and post-production work, the price tag could rise even further because theaters keep a sizable portion of box office receipts. Disney will need the film to do exceptionally well just to break even, let alone turn a profit. It has been criticized as cringeworthy by some who claim that it is inauthentic and contrived in light of Zegler's prior contempt for Tront. The original movie casts a shadow over her recent accolades, and fans have found it challenging to accept her new messaging due to the discrepancy between her past and present statements. This has put Disney's marketing team in a challenging position. The studio is obviously attempting to refocus the conversation on the excitement surrounding the film, but it's proving to be a difficult task. Historically, Disney has had success with live-action remakes of its animated classics, such as Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King, but other Wendy, Peter Pan, and Mulan have all failed to recreate the enchantment of the originals, which has resulted in underwhelming box office results. The key issue at hand is whether Snow White will become a successful film or just another poor remake. The problem is made worse by the wider change in the entertainment sector, where consumers are becoming pickier about what they would pay for in theaters, particularly with the emergence of streaming services like Disney Plus that let customers wait for movies to become accessible at home in light of all the criticism directed at Snow White. In order to avoid suffering a significant financial loss, Disney will have to come up with a strong incentive for people to go on opening weekend. Moreover, Zegler's public relations problems extend beyond Snow White. Her remarks and manner in interviews have given her a reputation for being contemptuous and even ungrateful, which may turn off fans and Hollywood industry insiders alike. Public perception is just as important as skill, and performers who project an air of difficulty or entitlement might rapidly lose favor with both studios and viewers. As Snow White's release date draws near, everyone is watching the box office to see whether Disney can get over the film's issues. Although Zegler is making an effort to make amends, it's unclear whether the harm has already been done. Once thrilled about a new interpretation of a classic, fans are now split. Some are prepared to give the film a chance. The stakes for Disney couldn't be greater, even if some people are still doubtful. Confronts increasing competition in the constantly changing entertainment industry. Will Rachel Zegler's apology tour be sufficient to salvage Snow White? Or is this movie doomed to become yet another well-publicized Disney blunder? Time will tell.